Hello, soulful entrepreneurs. Welcome to the Soulful Entrepreneurs Club podcast. And I'm starting a series on keys to entrepreneurial success. And I talk about these keys a lot on my social media and on this podcast, but I don't usually dive deep into each of them. So I am going to be doing that. And I also want to share with you that I am going to have my masterclass again, How to Attract Dream Clients You Love. And so the details will be in the show notes for that. I'd love for you to register. It is totally free. If you can't make it live, there will be a recording, but the recording will be available for a limited time. It is a live masterclass, and I will provide coaching live for those that show up. Okay. Um, and so I did, if you've attended before, know that every time I do something, I will get bored if I just repeat things verbatim. So I am taking what I shared, improving it, and hopefully you will learn something different. I've also found that when I re-listen and re-show up to things, even if I had shown up before, I learned some new things. So I invite you, even if you've come before, to show up, see what you can receive, see if it can help you attract your dream clients. So going back to the keys to entrepreneurial success. Today's key is about inner work. Okay, so I'm going to dive deeper into what inner work is because I say that a lot and I know people say that, but what is actually inner work and why is it important? So the inner work has anything to do with your mindset and your spirituality, okay? Your thoughts, your feelings, that is the inner work. The outer work of your business are the tasks that you do, like the outward tasks. So if I watched you, what I would see you doing during the day is your outer work. The inner work is all the stuff that you can't see necessarily, right, going on inside. So the inner part of ourselves, our subconscious mind, is controls most of our inner world. 98 to 98%, depending who you ask, of our tasks. The external tasks are controlled by the brain, by our subconscious mind. Okay, so that's why the inner work then impacts the external world, right? And so a lot of the things we do without thinking. A lot of the things that we believe are based on our conditioning and our experience in our little world, right, that we live in. And so what we've been exposed to, who are the people in our inner circle? Who are the people that we socialize with? Who are the people that we live near? In fact, and I don't want to go into this too deep, a lot of times what we see on social media, even when we search on search engines, is impacted by where we live, okay, and things you've already searched for. So then it is like you're being fed based on things you already believe, and you're reinforcing the beliefs that you have. And so it's just like this thing that just keeps creating the same thing over and over again. So the way to work with that is to do the inner work. So what are some things that you can do? One is mindset work. And so mindset work can have multiple layers to it. One of it is to look at how you perceive things. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about how business works, how entrepreneurship works, how your particular business works, um, and what you have to do to succeed in your business? What are how you should behave in your business? So looking at that mindset, what are the thoughts you have if you work with clients about your clients? What are your thoughts you have about the money? What are the thoughts you have? All those thoughts, it's estimated we have like 70,000 thoughts a day, right? So all those thoughts, working with those thoughts and consciously choosing them instead of having your subconscious mind choose them, that is mindset work. And that can look many different ways. There are lots of journaling strategies that you can use to do mindset work. I really love using Byron Katie's The Work, which is a set also called by some people the four questions, to ask the thoughts that you have, to question your thoughts. You can journal about the thoughts and say, like, are these thoughts the ones that I want to have? Is this what I really want to believe about my business, about the world, about my clients, about money? And if it's not, you start to choose a different set of thoughts. It doesn't happen overnight, but the awareness of that is the first step. So being aware of what are the ways that you think about things, how do you want to think about things, and how can I reset consciously so that I start to change the way that I think about things. And that has such a profound impact on your business. You have a different perception and thoughts about things. You're going to notice things differently. You're going to show up differently. You are going to speak differently. You are going to, if you market differently. You're going to do everything differently because you're coming from that different mindset, a different way of looking at things. And you will also notice things that you may not notice before. So one of the ways that this may be directly beneficial is if you are, for instance, if you went through a training program and you have the recordings from the training program and you re-listen to a training. If you've ever done that, like you've re-listened to a training or to a podcast or even reread a book after years, are there things that you notice in that book or that you notice in the training that you didn't before? Most likely the answer is yes. And that shows that your mindset is in a different place than when you looked at that piece or that book or that training the first time. Which is why it's valuable to re-listen to training sometimes, which I do. Okay. And actually, even if I've attended a training by someone that I admire, I won't go with the mindset of I already know all this, but instead, what can I learn today? Right? And so this idea of how you approach it makes a huge difference. So the inner work impacts how you show up, and mindset work is a big part of that. And some of that is through looking at your thoughts and choosing consciously what you want to think and what you want to believe instead of going by default and saying that's the truth and then getting that reinforced over and over again by the algorithm online, by the people around you, because that's what you're going to notice. So that is one piece of the inner work. The other part of inner work is you taking responsibility for the results that you see in your life and in your business. And so when you take responsibility, it can feel really uncomfortable because if you're not getting the results that you desire and you take responsibility, that doesn't feel so good. That feels like somehow you're not good enough. And it may start to plug into some of that programming that you've had telling you you're not good enough. Especially, I've seen this a lot with sensitive, empathic people, as I myself have been given the message, whether it's actual words that were said to me or just the way people show up and actions people take to show that somehow I'm not good enough, right? I'll be in situations where if I already believe I'm not good enough and I go and I talk to people, they reinforce that belief that I have by ignoring me or blowing me off. Like there's lots of ways that shows up, or I don't feel good enough to use my voice. And so that kind of feeling of not good enough is reinforced when I take responsibility, right? Then I'm like, oh, see, that's evidence that I'm not good enough. Look, I don't know what I'm doing or whatever, right? So instead, take the responsibility from a place of I'm taking responsibility for the results, and I'm not going to be shaming myself. I'm not going to be in this place like this, there's something wrong with me. Instead, you're going to look at the actions and say, well, the actions were wrong and how I approached them were wrong, but there's nothing wrong with me. You are perfect the way you are, right? And so how can you take a different approach, a different way to look at things, a different perspective from the sense of like, okay, I'm going to see, like, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm showing up. This has been my thoughts and feelings about something, and this is my results. Most people look at changing the action, but could you change your perception and your thoughts and do the same action and see how those results are? instead of just frantically changing results. Because if you just keep changing the action that you're taking and you're coming from that same perception and thoughts, your results are going to be the same. And you might be thinking, oh, I just need to find the right action. This happens a lot with marketing, right? So you need to find the right marketing. You need to find the right marketing. And you just go from thing to thing to thing, instead of looking inward and seeing, like, am I taking responsibilities? What do I really think about these things? What is my mindset about this action? How can I do this better? Right? And so really going into that responsibility piece and not shaming yourself and saying, oh, okay, I could have done this, this, and this better. So let's do that next time. Let's try this again. Okay. And then you do it and then you go back and you're like, okay, that worked. This worked well. This, this was not so, didn't work for me, but next time I can try this. So you try that, right? You can do the assessments of what you're doing to check on, like, the things that are going well and things are not, right? What are the things you want to do differently? Right? We're not, even though we're perfect, our actions are not. We are going to make mistakes. In their essence, we are perfect, but we're also human, right? So then looking and seeing, how can I continue to improve, coming from that mindset, which is taking that responsibility for your results. That's empowering, and that's how you can change. And that is a key to entrepreneurship, is doing the inner work. You can do it afterwards. And what I'm going to recommend is that you do it before as well. So before your day, before your week, before your month, before major marketing events, before client sessions, if you work with clients, before you do tasks in your business, notice your mindset. Work on those thoughts if you need to, so that you approach them from the mindset of how you want to, and see how that shifts your results. So I'm going to ask you to try this today, and maybe just this week. Start to look at one aspect of your business where you're not getting the results that you desire. Change how you perceive that. What are the thoughts that you want to have about that? And take a different, you can take the same action from the different perception. Maybe you change a couple of aspects of it, but you take the same action and see how that changes, even if it just changes your experience, right? And so one of those examples of that for me is actually this masterclass. So I have been wanting to do these masterclasses for a long time, and I've done a couple this year, and actually guested at in a couple places. So I've done more than a couple. But a couple years ago, I did my first one and did not get the results that I desired. The second time I did, so I had people, maybe friends, show up to the first one, and they were great. And part of the reason I do the masterclass is to share my vision, share my knowledge, hopefully help you. And also, if you feel aligned, so that we could work together, right? And so the results were not what I liked. And so I said, okay, I'll try it again. And so I made some changes. I changed the title. I changed a lot of things. I changed the content. And the next one, I had 2 people register. Now, at that time, I felt that it would be weird. I felt some embarrassment and shame at the time of only 2 people registered. So I refunded. At that time, I was charging a little bit for that class because I felt it was valuable. So I refunded their money. I offered them free visualizations and things like that. And now that I look back, what I would have done differently is do the class anyway. That's what I would have done differently. And then I would have assessed and then done it again. But instead, what I did was I refunded them money, and I said, I'm not doing master classes. I'm not doing webinars. They don't work. And I stopped doing them for 2 years. Okay. And so when I looked back, I realized that I do want to do this. This is something I enjoy. I love teaching. Since I was a teacher before, I love to help others, even if they just attend the class and they never are my clients. That's okay. Right? So I did it for the love of teaching, for helping. And my results were more aligned. So I'm continuing to do that. So one more time, I'm going to have my How to Attract Your Dream Clients masterclass if you want to attend. And I'm using what I'm teaching you here in my own life. So, this is Kavita with the Soulful Entrepreneurs Club podcast. I will see you next week. Until then, take care.